right.
Hey everybody, it's Ryan with Pi Records. I'm here with Martin Winch of Green Noise Records in Oregon, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Clackamas, currently in Clackamas, Oregon,
So
where
is that close to Portland?
yeah, it's right up against Portland. I always like to play, oh, Dead Moon came from Clackamas, and that's about it, really. But it's just south of, it's right up against Portland, just south of it.
I've never been, but I've always heard Portland, Oregon has a great music scene.
Oh yeah, I was amazed when I came here. I was just like, whoa, like I grew up in Michigan. So, when I was a kid, I had, you know, like five really great record stores I could walk to. I was right near a place called the Student Ghetto. They had record stores. I was walking distance to downtown. This is when I lived in had record stores down there. They had one right by my house, Boogie Records. It was just a great record store. There was, the black side of town was just a few blocks over. They had a great little record store called the Whatnot Box that really kind of turned me on to a lot of, stuff. Being a white boy in Michigan, that I wouldn't have had the access to. So it was just great, but fell apart. The factories closed, and GM closed. The Checker Cab closed. Gibson Guitar had closed up and went to Nashville. And so there just wasn't a lot of money. And so, people just weren't buying records. People were buying CDs, and all the stores closed. So when I moved to Oregon about 20 years ago, it was just exciting. Like, whoa, record stores galore. And then I walked into, I would always go to this one store, Clinton Street Record Store, which I really loved. There was a little movie theater, a little independent movie theater there that would show old punk films and just stuff you would never see anywhere else. There's a guy there, Dennis, who ran it, and his wife at the time, I think. But there was a store next to it, Clinton Street, and I always go in there. It was a co-op, so like the owners owned it, I believe. And then I saw an ad about this Green Noise Records. I thought, what Green Noise Records? This is right. I looked at the address, and this was 20 years ago. This looks just like, this is my neighborhood that I always go, my favorite neighborhood. I go skateboard in that neighborhood. I just go there, going in the city, go and see shows, going to the restaurant, go to all this little community, a little crossroads community, kind of in the middle of a residential area on Clinton Street. I thought, where's this Green Noise? I saw a little ad. And so I had to, pull the ad out and look around. And then it was right there. It was just behind a tree, There's a big tree that blocked it. So then I walked into Green Noise, and that was the original owner. I'm the fourth owner. So this is the original owner, Ryder Green. And we just hit it off right away. He's from New York. We're about exactly the same age. We loved the old garage from the 60s and the surf from the 60s. And we had a love for that. We kind of came of age in the 70s. So we loved that East Coast, the Ramones, and, there's Ramones on the wall. And, and I found all these old records I'd lost over the years, like the At the Rat comp from 75 or 76 and the CBGBs. I picked up those, and we just hit it off right away. And then he'd write down, like I was going to see shows, but I really wasn't keeping track of it. I more had places, like I'd go to a place called EJ's. It was just a great place. The stage was about this high off the floor. They had a big old sign on the dumpster, "Don't eat food out of the dumpster," and graffiti all over the walls. And I just loved going there, but I wasn't really keeping track of the bands. And then Ryder wrote down a little note, he had like 5 bands that I should see, and then 5 bands, they're kind of worth seeing. I won't mention them because I don't want to hurt the feelings of this here, but he's like, here's 5 you got to go see here. I could tell, like the Flip Tops, you got to go see them when they come. Dead Moon, you got to see them. And it was just so helpful. I had my little list and I could look in the paper and see what local bands to see. So then I just became a regular at Green Noise. And then one day I said, upstairs he just had a bunch of dollar records that never sold. It's like an attic or a loft. And I said, I could sell my records up there. We could just split the money. And I expected him to say, no, but there wasn't really anything selling up there. It was just like, it was all dollar records. Um, so he said, yeah, let's do that. I said, awesome. And then I took over the loft, and then like a week later, he asked me to, you want to cover Sundays? So that was 20 years ago. For like 20 years, that was my life. On the weekend, I would work at Green Noise every Sunday, bring in records every Sunday. And I did that through many moves, the three owners, not including myself, three other owners. So then Ryder eventually sold it to Ken of Dirt Nap fame. There's that sign goes way back. I painted him that sign like right when he took over. Said, oh, I love making signs. We got to know this is Dirt Nap headquarters. So I was really excited. Well, I was I didn't know if he'd even keep me on. So Ken was the second owner. Ryder had just done it long enough, and he was involved with movie making. So he just followed that career, and he would still come in. I still see him at shows until this COVID stuff. But Ryder was the second owner, or Ken, and he owned Dirt Nap. Dirt Nap was his baby. So he had Green Noise and Dirt Nap, and I worked with him for like 10 years, at least. No, I think it was more than 10 years. I think it was closer to 15. I'm not sure. But then he moved on from Green Noise, sold Noise to Gary, the third owner. But he kept Dirt Nap. He moved back to Wisconsin. And then we did all the sales for Dirt Nap. So we kind of kept the relationship. It was a perfect fit. And then Gary owned it for 2 years and at Accident Prone Records, and moved it to Killingsworth. And then he moved back home to California. And then finally, after 20 years, I figured, man, it's my time. I might as well. I had time to buy the store.
Now, you have an interesting history with Green Noise being a label, going through the interesting distro exclusive process. Would you like to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's always kind of since I took over, we had kind of our flagship is still the Dirt Nap label. But I've, in the 2 years since I picked up a lot of other exclusive. We haven't, the goal is to start the Green Noise label again. Green Noise label was very short-lived. It had, let's see if I can grab. Anyway, we released a couple. Ken released a couple records through the Green Noise label, and it was really just an imprint of Dirt Nap Records. So he had some local bands, and Dirt Nap wasn't releasing a lot of local stuff. It started in Seattle, so it had a lot of Seattle bands. Then the Markmen and all the other projects that came out of Texas that had members of Markmen, they became kind of a flagship part of the Dirt Nap label. And then, he released Martha from the UK. So there wasn't a lot of Portland focus. So then he started Green Noise as part of Dirt Nap, Green Noise Records, the label. And the Exploding Hearts were originally on, I believe so. Now you'll see it says Dirt Nap, but originally I think it was one of the Green Noise released on the Green Noise label. I'm pretty sure that's right. I always said it, but now that he's going out to the world, I want to make sure I got my facts right. So So it was just a few records, and then Ken, got focused on other stuff. And then my dream is to start off Green Noise, the label again, um, and maybe have some local Portland, uh, since I these punk bands from third world countries. Because when I talk to them, they're like, I kind of, I didn't have any money to release their stuff, and I was trying to work out something with them, like I've done with other people, like together maybe we can do it. And I just come to a realization there's no chance in the world that they have the ability to release a record. They don't have the money to do it. And so I thought, these are the people that need Green Noise help. So, and plus it's good stuff. It's a little unique, and it's not going to get out to the world unless Green Noise can help. So that's my dream for the future. In the present time, what we're doing is just trying to get a lot of stuff from all over, and usually maybe, well, if it's from Europe, a lot of times it's never been in the United States. So we'll get it over from Belly Button Records, from a lot of great stuff we're getting in from Twin Toe Records out of Berlin. Stuff. It's sometimes I have to really plug it because they're not bands that are touring the States, or obviously not now, but even in the past. But great stuff that, has never been available in the States. So I really like that. And then recently I've been working a lot with Alien Snatch and Drunken Sailor, because especially during this COVID, for somebody to order one record to have sent from Europe, it's, from Berlin or from London, it's really expensive. So we'll bring, the whole, a good quantity of their new record, their new releases, some of the old releases, and then people can get that. We'll give, if you get $35 worth of stuff, you get a free shipping. So they can get, instead of paying, all this money to get one record shipped over from Europe, they can go to Green Noise and get, a bunch of stuff. So, and that's really, I wasn't thinking that deeply about what I was doing, but that's turned out real. People are really emailing me all the time, like, man, it's so great. Like, I love that Alien Snatch stuff, but I've never been able to get it. I've been able to get it, but it's like, do I want to pay all this money for one record or for a couple of records? So that's been exciting to get that stuff, because a lot of times those bands are from the States. It goes from the States over to London. Alien Snatch releases their stuff, then but nobody here. Sometimes there's two labels releasing, so sometimes it is available here, and then there's just small labels, like your label, that I love, trying to connect with the really small labels, the labels that are being run by women, the labels are running by, people who just don't have, who just need some help to get, has great stuff, but need some help to get that word out. So, that's what I get really excited about, is like, man, this is a good record, but people don't know about it, because I feel like that's what that punk is all about. It's about a community. It's very often, working class people, people who maybe don't have a lot of money. But if we all work together, it works. And that's really, I have to give a lot of credit to Ken, who just, as I watched him run Dirt Nap, it's amazing what he did with that label, without, just on his own. And showing that it can be done. He doesn't have like, a million people that want his new release, but he's got a base in, every major city. So when the bands go there, they're like, oh, I know your record, and then go to a town and like, oh, let's go see that band. So it's exciting for the bands to go to a town like, oh, you guys know me? Oh yeah, I got your record from Dirt Nap. I love that record. I'm so excited you're here. So
Oh, that's awesome.
I feel like just being part of that is just really exciting.
That's the way I feel. The more people I talk to in the underground way, the more people believe the same way I believe and the way you believe. If we all help each other spread the word, we'll all be better off.
Right. It's so nice. It's so different than, like even when we were on Clinton Street, I realized like, oh, there's a store right there that I go to, Clinton Street. And then, I realized, people would say it, oh, we got a little competition going. I was like, what? We don't have any competition. We're working together. Sometimes somebody
Yeah.
has a big collection of records, and sure, we feel like, we want that collection. But it wasn't competition at all, and that is, it's just a beautiful thing to have, to have that, something that's not based on competition. And I love a little competition myself. So there's that inside of me. But um, if it's me, um, but the idea of working with people, and um, I just think of what Mississippi Records has done out here. Like if Mississippi Records, it's Mississippi Records is a label and a store. Now the label is in Chicago and the store is here. But I mean, it's just, I walk into that store and I'm just going back to my days of my youth. Like, whoa, this is like an old record store. He has no, uh, he didn't, COVID hit, he started selling some stuff online, but he never sold stuff online. He just it was all the store, and he doesn't take take credit cards. I shouldn't say even he doesn't. People get mad like, what? I got my card, and they're like, no, I just take cash. And like I just could see him going to like a business advisor, and the business advisor would say like, everything you're doing is wrong, and yet he's didn't let it works so well, like it's just beautiful thing when like you go against what they're trying to tell you to do, to be ugly and competitive, and it up, my great. I mean, my relationship with Eric at Mississippi Records so great, because we're working together. I'm trying to get his records out, and I feel like, okay, his records aren't really typical Green Noise records. They're old soul records, or some old blues, but it's beautiful because, like he'll give me, like, I'm not giving this record to anybody else, but you and a couple punk labels. And he always laughs like, punk labels. This is not even a punk record, but he knows, like I want to work with those punk labels because you understand what I'm doing. I'm not trying
Yeah,
to curate some, there's Walmart is selling records now, but I'm not part of that. And, so it's great that I can get a little diversity in the label, and then it just fits, that idea of we're all working together. Or Jackpot Records in here, I get from, he releases stuff, so we're just all, I just feel like we're all working together.
that was my I recently got into this business 2 years ago, and they just put out our first release. But the sense of community with it's large, but it feels very small because everybody has that attitude, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, sure, yeah, it's a good thing.
So I
Enough
like,
bad stuff going on.
yeah, I'd like for you to elaborate a little bit on the Green Noise exclusives that you do. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I guess it was it just kind of happened. I thought like, I learned a lot from Gare. There's like I said, 4 owners. I'm the last, and I really say that. Well, not the last. It'll live on. I'm gone, I'm sure, but kind of my plan for the rest of my life is stay with Green Noise. Um, but I got a lot from all 3. The first rider, I just got that. I always think about it when I'm putting it out or buying stuff. He just had that love for, he never took anything too seriously. He had that the really fun side of punk and music, and then Ken, I learned so much from, and he's just still part of it. We're separate but still partners with the Dirt Nap. Um, and then Gary, I learned so much from Gary about, with Gary, it was all about like community and, giving back to the community, doing fundraisers for good causes, thinking about like, like what is this band or this, or this, even this album cover, what does it represent? Is this something we want to represent? Like if it is, then let's push it hard. If it's not, then let's not even carry it. We're not here to have, we want anybody to come into the store and say, awesome, I feel welcome here. And so he was really big on getting people to feel welcome, come in and just feel like, okay, I'm welcome. I'm not welcome too many places in this world, but at Green Noise. And so that was huge. And so that taught me a lot. But he also taught me a lot about, like getting out, getting things that are exciting for the store, for the label, for the distro. And so that exclusive is just really, it's exciting to, to work with a little label. And I think the first one, was Drunk Dial. We get all the Drunk Dial just releases a little, here we go. Here's the latest Drunk Dial. So this is all Drunk Dial does. I shouldn't say that's all they do. Sometimes they'll do a cassette, or recently they've been doing some comps, always something interesting. But their main thing is these little 7-inch, and it's one band doing getting drunk and going. It's kind of ironic because the owner of Drunk Dial doesn't drink anymore. So but they get drunk and they go in the studio and they record 2 songs, one original and one cover. And then they put it on a record. And I think, I always tell them, like, I get what you're doing, but I never really confirmed it. But my impression is just like, punk is about like, not spending 3 years in the studio. It's about, straight from the heart, bam,
Yeah.
having a song, recording it, putting out, something that anybody can do, even if they're working some full-time job. And so I think that's, the idea of it. It's not so much like, oh, they're drunk. It's that, man, you go in the studio, you forget about your inhibitions, and you record an original song, and you put it out. So this was a big kind of eye opener for me, because I was like, and some of the releases, are a lot of times they're a perfect match for, the Green Noise punk focus. Sometimes they're kind of are, but it doesn't matter, because it's like, it just fits. So then he'll press the color vinyls and give us all the Green Noise, exclusive for the color vinyl versions. And it's just exciting. It's like, it's kind of like you're part of it, like it just kind of forces us to work together, and so that just got me excited about, because I had to be careful about doing too many things. It's always my life story, doing too many things. So, finally I've learned to kind of focus. So I'm not going to start the Green Noise label right now, that I just dying to start, because that's going to take all my time and focus and money away from, doing what I'm doing, and, trying to get good records to, find a great record. There's a lot of people putting out great records, is what I realized. And, maybe I don't need to be always the person that puts it out. Sometimes I just need to find it and help them get it to the people. So that's been really my focus for the last year, was, bringing, finding labels that really just have really good stuff, but, they're working people, have full-time jobs, and they just don't have time to, to do the other thing. They're doing the stuff that I don't have time, that I realize I don't have time for, find the bands, pressing the records, blah, blah. But I'm already doing the other thing, I've already got these people that love punk music, looking for new records, just dying for somebody to tell them, hey, what's next, and so then, it works nicely. They put out the record and then get it over to me. And then, from Drunk Dial, then I picked up, Twin Toe label, out of Berlin. And so, they never had, those bands had never, those releases had never seen the United States for most of them. It's not completely true. There's some of them were released by, so it's just, and for somebody to try one of their labels, like, oh, I'm going to try one of their records and pay for it to be shipped from Berlin, uh, that doesn't, that's enough to stop someone. So getting those, and then Belly Button, and then, Alien Snatch and Drunken Sailor, they had, people knew about them in the States and were buying their records, but, I'm trying to have from those labels, from Europe, especially during this COVID time, to here. And then there's just, I'm trying to, for like, if the label's owned by a minority, if a woman's running the label, I'll sell their records and send them all the money. I'll just kind of cut out our profits, and people are like, oh, well, that's a really nice thing. It is. I guess it's a nice thing. That's kind of why I started, and that's kind of, I got to give Gary, the third owner, credit for that. I don't think if I would have worked with him, I would have thought about doing stuff like that. But it helps. It helps Green Noise. It's like, it's getting some different voices from different music. It's getting what we're not about. So it's like, people are always, well, that's a great thing you're doing. It's like, that's great, but it's like, like they say, it's a no-brainer. It's like, man, to get the small labels out to the people, and their records, it's like, I feel like that's what the punk community is all about. Like,
Absolutely.
It's anybody can join the punk community, but it's like, it's the do-it-yourself people, and it's people, there's always like that debate, like, well, music should be free, like when I was growing up, like, concerts shouldn't be money. People would storm down the concerts, break down the fence. We did it when we were kids all the time. We'd sneak into all the shows, and but there's another side of that, if you have somebody who doesn't have a lot of money, and they need something to support all their hard work. Otherwise, they can't do it. If they're working 60 hours at their other job and have no other means of income, when they start a little label or something, they know that they're not going to get rich off of this, and that's not why they're doing it. But there is that idea that giving away can be elitist. Like, if you've got millions of dollars, yeah, of course you give stuff away, and you can have free shows, and you can not charge. But I always like with shows, like, man, I saw so many great $5 shows, and the bands would say, like, they come into Green Noise, oh, you don't have to pay, I'll put you on the list. It's like, you kidding me? I'll pay $5. Like, you need some money. I know you're not rich. If you were rich and I knew that you had, some income coming in from your grandpa, but I know that's not the case. I know you need money. So I don't need to sign the list. I'm happy to pay $5. Are you kidding me? $5. I'm happy to, I tell people when they're selling their records, like, I'll sell it to you so I don't make any money, because I don't care. I was like, no, I'm going to make sure you make a couple bucks, because I know you don't have $1 million. So it's just interesting, like, it's like with anything, there's not like, it's not a black and white, you got to keep it real, and you got to, so they can enjoy the music. But the art, I support the idea that the artist and the little labels, if they're just losing money, they're going to burn out. And
yeah. But even going back to Fugazi, they charged $5 a show, and that was their whole purpose. was, and sometimes they'd play in Philly, they'd play 2 nights in a row because they wanted to get that $5 show in. And I always thought, these are the only guys that are doing that. I'm going to see a bunch of bands not as big as Fugazi, and I'm paying $15.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I love the $5 shows. I just like, when I was a kid, I could see any show for $5. It was the '70s, or $7.50 it went up to or whatever. And then, people are like, well, those were the days. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I see $5 shows all the time. And realize now, like, well, maybe $5 is $10 now, or there's some black artists who come to town and they're like charging $20 for their tickets, and I'm like, I'm happy to give you $20. I mean, you've paid your dues, and I hope this money goes to you. But I'm happy. But in my heart, those those $5 shows are so great, because I feel like they support the idea of that people, if they're going to continue doing this, they need something. They got to put some gas in the van.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that idea, that dollars. Like, they could have just done their punk shows free. I mean, with $5, they're big enough they could have charged, $30, or they could have had it for free. But I kind of appreciate when you told me that they charge $5, because it's like, no, shows, it's all right to charge $5. It's all right if you want to do free shows too. I'm not criticizing that either. But, I really like when you told me that, because I think, like, it's really small, so most people can afford it. But it's not, it kind of acknowledges there's a lot of bands starting out there. They need a couple bucks or they're just not going to make it to the next town in their van, So.
Yeah. So, what part of the distro right now is most interesting to you?
Oh, let's see. There's just so much. I guess it's like, if I go back to the very beginning, when I met Ryder, I talked about how we bonded, coming from, like, we were born in the same year. We're so excited about, the old '60s garage and surf. We were so excited about the '70s underground, especially like that, East Coast, Boston and New York and Pittsburgh and all those places, that underground scene, Detroit, of course. And but we were also, what I really liked about him, bonded with him, was that it's, it's great to recognize all the legends, and it's just fun to find that old music, that not everybody's listening to. Like, you listen to all that music on that, the oldies, like there's also some great songs, maybe, but I heard them a million times, God, show me some B-sides, and some, it's great. But, there's also we also bonded on, like, man, let's go see some shows, like, we're not just going to be the old guys who are like, well, music today just isn't what it used to be, get into all that. We get excited about the new music, like Ryder. Didn't matter what Eddie show I went to, Ryder was there. Like, are we just seeing the same shows, or you just go to every punk show in this town? And it was just so that's what I'm excited about now is, like, I get excited when I find out about some old reissue, like this last album. I pull it out here, but anyway, there's this band from 1980 released The Last. I was really excited about it. I listened to it, it's like, what the heck, I've never heard this before. So that's exciting. But what I really get excited about is, new stuff, bands that are just there's just so much. I feel like if I wasn't doing this, I wouldn't be aware of that. How much great stuff is being put out. And I talked to a lot of people my age, like, they're just not aware of it. Like, all the good stuff was put out a long time ago, like, what I don't have time to. So I feel like, if I can't, when I get an email from somebody who says, like, I'm over here in Nebraska, we don't have a record store, and I didn't know, this stuff you're telling me about, I didn't know about none of that stuff. And, then I got the record, and it's like, this is a great record, and I know what it means to get a new record that you've never heard, a band you've never heard, and you just love it. And so that's really, what I'm excited about is getting new stuff, and especially if it's, it's some band that I didn't know about, or that other people don't know about, or that they just been, I just know they've been struggling. There's just a lot of bands who, not just this year, but all the time, just working a day job, and but trying really hard to put out a record. It's a lot of work, and I'm learning it's like, I try to offer, like, I don't need to make money. If you're a black artist out there and you put out a record, I don't need to make money off of it. You can send it to me and I'll send you all the money. It sounds real good. But then I realized, there's a lot of bands who their idea of releasing a record is impossible, for unless somebody backs them up. And so, I'm just hoping that, green noise can kind of serve as, like, we've got to, look at, recognize the legends, of course, but we've got to look at the new music. We've got to get a whole diverse population, get their voice in there in the punk community and elsewhere, and support that, and maybe that means stepping a little bit outside your comfort zone and trying something a little different. And there's just, people are just like, it's like me, I have quite a, there's lots of music I like, but there's just some, that, I just get happy when I listen to it. And so, it's hard, people have it's hard to step out of that comfort zone. And so, I want Green Noise to be really focused on that, but also, it's with the four owners we've always had, there's always been, a little something else we're interested in, that you could call punk, or maybe you won't. And so I try to give that focus, but trying to get some variety in there too.
One thing I find interesting, because I talk to a lot of bands overseas, is your attitude towards bands in third world countries and in Europe that really have a hard time putting out a record, especially getting it in the States. But give me 3 bands that you were like totally blown away with, like, these guys need to be heard.
Oh yeah. I get my my head gets filled, and then my thoughts don't always clear. I have so many. Let's see what I can find here. Well, let's look at, I should have been prepared for those questions, ready to pull stuff out. But we're putting out this, well, I'm not putting it out. Drunken Sailor is putting out the Stiff Richards album out of Australia. And I just, as soon as I heard the record, I was like, can we do something, that, so Green Noise has maybe some exclusive. So I'm really excited about that. That's our newest exclusive. I don't have a copy of it yet because we don't have it yet. But and I wish I could have something where, like, pops up. But anyway, you can look it up, and it's just really exciting to look at. When Drunken Sailor put it on sale, it sold out the first day. When the band in Australia, they're touring, they're playing in Australia. I've never seen them. But you can just tell from the pictures. When you go see one of their shows, you're probably gonna leave it saying, "Whoa, I bet that was great fun." Um, so their album sold out right away in Australia where they live. But it's not. It's not. Europe, Australia, but it's not that well known. I don't think. In United States. Especially, I mean, there's a lot of green noise people that know it. It's so hard for me to tell. Sometimes I think like everybody knows this band, especially like green noise people. They know this band, and then I realized no, not everybody has time. I'm here all day long looking for records, talking to people, so they might not know of it. And then I guess the record, I'm always like looking at the next. Like, okay, we got that record, what's the next? So then this month we've got that one coming out, and we'll have a Green Noise exclusive green vinyl. People love to get like that first issue on a color. And then we've got Fox Faces album coming out. Again, I don't have a copy of that I can hold up because I haven't picked, it hasn't been pressed yet, but will be in a couple weeks. And that's coming out on Dirt Nap. So and then I've got I don't know, there's so many I could pull out, but I have I think the last copies of this Brandy album.
Oh.
And this is from Total Punk. And so I'm definitely excited about this. In fact, like everything that Total Punk does, they just moved to Portland, so it's really nice. I just trade them records so I can sell them really affordable. Just the name says it all. Punk. It's like, all right, we get it. And they stand up to it. I can just sit here all day long. I just got these in. I haven't listed them yet. This is a really old record, but Dirt Nap put out the CD, but I got these in from Alien Snatch. As soon as I list them, they're gonna sell. There's well, I guess I won't distill it down. I'll give you too many, but I guess that's some stuff I'm really excited about right now. And then the Drunk Dial has got some stuff coming out soon. So this is their latest, and they're coming out. I'm afraid I'm gonna. I know you interviewed Noah recently from.
Yeah.
I'm never his label name aloud. I have a problem with pronouncing words from all my brain damage from all my head injuries, but Otitis, how do you say his label's name?
Otitis.
Otitis. All right, thank you for saying it aloud. I never try to say it aloud. Otitis. It sounds good. I looked it up. Like, oh, that's clever.
I had to ask him too.
What's that?
I had to ask him too because I was like Otis, and then I was like, wait a minute, there's another I in there, and he talked about getting a mascot and calling it Otis just because everybody does that.
I've had a lot of people like, oh, what's coming out on that? Oh, you got something coming out of that Otis label? I said, it's not Otis, but I don't know what to, but I didn't know how to pronounce it. So anyway, he's got, I got excited when he got his surf bands from other lands, so he's got his latest one. It should be here maybe tomorrow. And even the name of that band, I don't know if I can pronounce right. It's so simple. Terra Motor. I should at least look it up and figure out how that translates. They're from Brazil. Anyway, they had a 7-inch, and I knew it. It's like I got my pajama bottoms on, so I'm afraid to get up. Otherwise, I'd be up moving around and pulling out stuff. And I was like, I do. There's some reason why she put regular pants on. I mean, I guess the kids show up for school with pajama bottoms, but I don't know. Because yeah, something told me like I should probably. I thought, no, I don't have to get up. Yeah, it was just like everything's gonna be fine. But anyway, this Terra Motor surf band from Brazil. Their 7-inch was just outrageously good. I just got really excited about his label, and it sold really well. And so now they have an album out. It's great, and we've got some exclusive color ones coming from. That should be here, I think, tomorrow. So those will be up this week. Really excited about that. Just the idea, yeah, it kind of goes with that something different, and it's not like your typical punk band. It's not from the States. They're from Brazil. They're writing about surfing all around the world, and
Right.
it's just it's take that formula. It's amazing to me. Like here's like a surf record. Like how could I get excited about this? This is like 50, 60 years ago. Like this old formula. Like, and then I listened to it. It's like I'm so excited about this. Like you took that old formula and it's still like interesting. Like when I listen to your record, like it's like it's the old stuff. Like if I tried to explain to some Martian or something who didn't know what I was talking about, they's like, I'll get that. Like 50, 60 years later, kind of the same style of music. It's the same, but it's still exciting. Like it's just exciting to take that stuff that I've always loved, just have a little, it's just I think it's just playing from the heart, like taking those old influences, but just internalizing them and just playing from the heart. It comes out and the joy comes out. So yeah, I'm really excited. I think that was one of my favorite records he put out, that Terra Motor.
He's a
Which
good guy too.
yeah, yeah, no, it's great. Yeah, he just I share I've been looking forward. I just noticed that you had an interview, and then I pulled it up on my phone last night, but then I just I didn't want to wake up my woman by playing it, but I look forward to listening to that. But yeah, he's just great, and I share his stuff with one of my favorite the green noise customers. They're just like they're from all over the world, and I just feel like it's like family, and
Yeah.
I've won I got Dean is with Otitis, is that right?
Yep.
Otitis. So he
Oh,
sent me a shirt, and I thought, I love that shirt. But what is that?
Otitis.
Otitis. And he sent me a shirt, and then I thought, I love this shirt, but then I've got this friend in Australia, James, and just green noise customer, just buying us from a year ago, and now I feel like I knew him for 100 years. But just like I sent him that shirt. He took a picture of it with his wife, with the otitis shirt in Australia, and then I sent that picture to Noah, and Noah's just like, this is all worthwhile, he said, like
Yeah.
so.
Totally.
And then James just loves that label, so he just it's just there's just like this old punk around the world. It's just exciting to see people get excited about sharing the music and getting the music.
Totally. There's a lot of little labels that are doing really good things with really good bands, and I think in the next couple of years they're going to get some more traction. I think it's tough now to be a label in because the bands can't get out and play.
Exactly.
But they're still doing it, and I'm excited for some of the guys like River Monster Records, Missing Fink, Altered State of Reverb. Music, I think, is doing pretty great as always.
Yeah.
But I think
anytime those little labels, sorry, broadcasting this for the for the people out there, but I guess I'm talking to the people. I'm talking to you. Those little labels. Just know that they've got a friend here at Green Noise that'll help get their records out, because it's it takes time to find those. I try really hard to find the little labels and the little bands and the new releases, but um, anything I just have to sometimes let it go. Like, oh, that record is great, but I know I realize, oh, that was released a little while ago. um and yeah, I just can't worry about everything, but I just want people to know that we're all about trying to support the small labels, in the small bands, um who want to get their stuff out. They took all that time to um to make a record. Right now I can't help them. I'm not pressing Green Noise records, so we definitely can help get them out to the people, let people know about it. I feel like even if somebody doesn't buy something from Green Noise, just we can help promote it.
Yeah.
Just get the word out. I think it's good. You're right. This is one thing I learned these last 2 years. I've always worked for 20 years. I worked for Green Noise, but it was just a weekend job, and it wasn't. Well, I just didn't have the knowledge of what's going on. Um, but yeah, when people are touring, like Radioactivity, it's a Dirt Nap puts out their records, and they hadn't put out a record. We still had their records. They put out a 7-inch, I think, on another label, but they toured, before all this COVID stuff, and people are just buying that record off us all the time. Have been ever since. So I mean, it's just really made me aware of how important getting out there and touring is for the bands. I kind of thought, like, okay, so you're out there touring, you have records, at a table, I bet. Um, I almost thought, like, maybe we're not going to sell many of your records. You're out there selling yourself, and more power to you.
Yeah.
I love when people say, I bought it um, from the artist. I always support the idea of supporting the small labels. But, and people say, I like to buy it from the band at a show. I'm like, of course, like
Yeah.
they're touring, like you're not making that much off those $5 shows, and that can really help them out.
Yeah.
But I thought, I had no idea, but like Radioactivity did their tour, and I've been selling the records ever since. So it just shows how important touring is, and just how tough um, this time is for artists,
Yeah.
because they can't do that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I was amazed. I kind of thought, like, maybe in January 2021, like I wouldn't have anything. If you asked Mike that question, I'd be like, well, there's nothing. It was COVID, like how could anybody be putting out music? But it's amazing to me that that people are, that I'm
Yeah.
excited about new records almost every day. I'm excited about a record. That's why, like, when you ask that question, I'm like, well, like, there's so many
Yeah.
great records out there. So
Now, is your primary focus on vinyl?
yeah, I just did uh I sent an email to all the Green Noises about some CDs, about Dirt Nap CDs. I'm very little CDs, and because I just assume, like, uh, people just assume, like, I love my vinyl so much that I'd hate those CDs, but I love listening to my CDs in my car, and um, so I was just trying to be funny, but like, um, it's still physical. I still hold it in my hand and blah, blah, blah. You know, I sent that out to everybody. Nobody bought a single one, like, it, yeah, Green Noise. Well, I don't have a huge selection. At the store, when I came into Green Noise 20 years ago, it was an island in the front, and an island that filled up the whole room, filled with CDs. And then the vinyl was on the side. And so it was about 50-50. And a lot of the new stuff was just on CD. you know. So, I'd say about 50-50. And then over 20 years, here's the CDs in the middle. People just lost interest in buying the CDs. And we'll have the download codes with a lot of the records, and people like that because people will say, "Hey, where's the download code?" And some labels and bands, even DirtNat, will have it on some of them, and not the download code is some of them, some not. But
Right.
over time, and then before Ken, here's me, the fourth owner of Green Noise, before Ken sold the store to Gary, he said, "I'm getting these, no one's buying these CDs. Um, and I don't know what to do with them." I said, "Just sell them to me, like I'll listen to my car." And so, I
Yeah.
bought a lifetime supply of, I never knew that I would someday own it. But the other day, I think it was just yesterday, I did a email about CDs, and it because I don't have, so I still have all those CDs. I get pretty excited about some of them. I'll find some '90s CD that I never heard before, and some punk band, and that I never heard of, and I thought, "What? This is a great CD." Like, it almost makes me thinking, like, man, I should press this on vinyl someday. Um, but there was no, I didn't get anybody bought any of those CDs because, Green Noise is off the vinyl, and everybody knows that. And so, there's, like touring bands that say, when we go to Europe and we go to Texas, we sell CDs. But, most of the punk community is buying the vinyl. Um, and so, like I said, it went from 50% down to 5%, and that's where it's kind of remained. And there's and that's pretty much always, you know we had the cassette really kind of took off, but for some reason it never really, maybe we just didn't commit to it, because I get excited about these little labels and like, I got a cassette, but I hardly ever sell a cassette. And I don't know if it's because we don't have a good variety, and so people go elsewhere for that, or not everybody has their cassette player, and or maybe the people who love the cassettes are going somewhere else. But there's some of that, like, um how much, there's some of that focus. When I go into a record store, like we got Everyday Music here. It's just gigantic. It's like a block, and
Yeah.
they had 3 stores, and they have 2, I think now, block buildings, and then warehouses just full of records. They have a policy they'll buy anything you bring in, CD, anything, and so they get all this stuff in, so much crap, and um, people get upset because when they say they buy everything, they pay a penny, they
Uh-oh.
might pay a penny for your thing.
Yeah.
So people get upset. They'd come into Green Noise like, "Fine, they offered me like a penny a piece for these." I was like, well, uh, they, that's just how they do it. But to me, like, I still get excited going in there, but it's not, the excitement I got. I was just thinking about this last night, um, when somebody said, like, somebody, I just bought um, Declining Man. I just bought their whole inventory. Declining Man, he just wanted to get out of it, and he was moving back to California. So I bought his entire inventory, and he said, I said, "I'll probably sell these pretty cheap, and there's good stuff." Um, but he said, "I walked when they're selling it cheap," and he said, "You sell these cheap?" And he's like, I'm a record store. I'm not a library." And he told me that. I thought, yeah, that's that's kind of the way, I think of it. Green Noise is got some focus, and it's about, there's some stuff I just have to pay a lot for that I know people want. I know I would want them. I just had um a few records where it's like, well, this is a single record, and I'm gonna have to sell it for like $34, like. And but then I thought, like, it was the Swing Kids, and I thought, I don't know, I really like this record, and maybe it went through a few people, so why it's so expensive, I don't know, but but for most part, I try to have you know a good price and move stuff and getting so it's not too overwhelming when like when I go into some stores uh and when I go through the records and it's like it's still exciting to me to dig through records at any store. I don't want to criticize other stores, but like I went through this rack 3 years ago when I came here, and your same records are here at the same price, and it's like uh um I don't know, I just don't that's not what I'm all about, trying to get some new stuff, moving out the old stuff, and having some concise, some economy, you might say, to resonate with a punk. Try to keep the try to offer a lot of stuff that is 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 reasonably priced so that everybody can get something. And then you know uh not really being a library, not being a like an archive for everything. It's like,
Right.
here's a new record and we're going to sell it. We're going to like people ask me a lot of times, like, do you have that old dirt nap? Yeah, I learned it from Ken, really. He never held on to his, we'd have a marked men on red vinyl that we know was going to be on Discogs in 3 years for 3 times as much money as we were selling it for. And I think some labels or stores or whatever might hold on to some of those because they know they can make some more money off those. And more power to them. You got to do what you have to do to survive. But because a lot of people really are critical of that. But I'm like, hey, like, until you walked in somebody's shoes, you don't always know why they're doing something. And
Right.
there's worse things people are doing than that. But for us, we're never about that, and Ken would never like hold on to any of those. Like, and so I kind of kept that policy too. People are like, well, that Personality Cult was the last Dirt Nap release, and it sold out. We pressed 50 on green, it sold out. And people ask me all the time, I know you got a few stashed with that. You sure you can't sell some? I was like, I don't have to lie to you. There's none stashed. They're gone. Like, you can go to Discogs or whatever. And I'm sorry, like maybe somebody's trying to get a lot of money for those, but I'm just about I don't know what you asked me about, but I guess I'm keep it. It's just exciting to me when I walk the first store. I wish I could remember the name of the store. It's down in the place called the Student Ghetto, and it's just like going. It's just like sunshine when you go in that place. Like uh, even the middle of the winter. Because it was concise and it was just like uh, I could go through everything, and I could come back in 2 weeks and like it was a whole new place.
Yeah.
There was what he charged. I remember. I still have some tags from it. Like 210 for some. I don't know where the 10 came from, but 210. Was the typical price for a used record, or and maybe I'm getting that confused with another store, but I think that's what it was. So that was what I could get most of my records for, and so even then that was a really reasonable price. New records were at that point. The oil crisis and records were shooting up to $10 or whatever, where now people are excited about thinking back to $10 days of new records. But it was just exciting to go to. It just felt like everything I loved about the record store, and without that overwhelming or that like without like a retro, like there was no vintage. It was just
Right.
used records. I don't
Yeah.
have no vintage records. I got used records for $2, and I get my $2 records there and go home and just. I mean, that's where I got hooked at that. Really, that store was like getting my $2 records there, and he didn't have. And I guess also like Green Noise, we're going to offer some Dirt Nap. Ken from Dirt Nap is working at a screen printing shop now, back in Milwaukee. So he's printing up some screen printing some stuff. But right now we don't, we just have the vinyl. We don't have posters or we used to have t-shirts. I really love the screen printing, and we had a bunch of patches from I wanted to plug his company, but I forget now. Vegan patches. So I bought, tons of vegan patches from him. They sells for $1. I saw on his post he screen printed 74,000 of those last year. He had to move away from Portland to survive, but he makes a living at making little patches.
Wow.
Which is pretty amazing. I mean, he's not getting rich, but he's just so anyway, I bought a bunch from him, and I was going to list them all on there, but I just gave them away. They work when I sell a record, they fit in there really nicely with a record. So I just told him, like, print a bunch more. I'm just going to give them away. So really, Green Noise is about, like, kind of streamlining. So I guess the original was vinyl. That's what we're all about.
Yeah.
Vinyl. Sorry, that was a long answer to your question.
I'm all about the vinyl too, brother.
Yeah. No, I mean, from day one, it goes back. I mean, it's so exciting that people are still, people are like, when they got their CDs, I kind of make fun of, like, oh, I like my CDs now, but when CDs came out, I was like, everybody's like, Winch, you're living in the past, man. Have you ever listened to a CD, man? I mean, people would have CD parties, like, oh, everybody be quiet, man. You can hear everything. CDs are the greatest thing. And I was like, I really wasn't holding on to my record. I didn't have any money, at that time to buy a bunch of new stuff. And I had my records, and I could still buy my used records, but like, you're living in the past, man. You got your vinyl. I was like, wow, who's laughing now?
Right.
What about your huge? So it's kind of exciting to know that there's people that love that getting those records. And I'm convinced that's one reason I say I'll be Green Noise till the day I die, because I don't feel like if I haven't got tired of my records at this age, I know for a fact I'm never going to get tired of them. So this is so I'll be loving the vinyl until the end, and then it'll live on. But.
Awesome. So I'm going to wrap it up now, but I wanted to know if you had anything special coming up or anything you'd like to mention before we sign off.
Yeah. No, I just appreciate you giving time to babble. Hope I didn't babble on too much here, but I really appreciate it. I thought, what am I going to talk about? But you got a good listener like you. I've got a lot to say, I guess. Hopefully I didn't bore people.
No, not at all.
But I'm just excited about all the. I think I mentioned a lot of the labels and the bands and the releases that are coming up. It's just like it's just the unknown, the next record that I'm going to get. Am I always going to get excited about finding new records? And I know I will. So this month I've got that Stiff Richards coming out. We got the Fox Face record coming out. The first time Dirt Nap ever put it. I think this is true. I might be wrong, but he pressed it on this green and black vinyl. The Swirl, maybe it's called. I should know, but anyway, it just looks really cool with the cover. The cover looks cool, and it's just I think he put some time into the packaging, and then I think later this week I'll have that surf record from Noah's label. Excited about that. Excited about everything that Drunk Dial is got in the works. I think he's going to keep putting out his 7-inch. And I think the 7-inch is well, as you know, like it's just a there's just so many green noise people who they're still loving that 7 inch. It's just exciting it's just exciting that people are still, interested. We'll take the time, to listen to just, a record with just a couple songs on it. It's kind of cool, and so much of my life has been spent exploring my, 7 inches. So that's it. Albums and 7 inch. That's mainly what we do. And we'll have some, I know people have been bugging me about Dirt Nap. Like, oh man, my Dirt Nap t-shirt is all worn out. My hoodie is all worn out. When are you going to print some more? So if anybody's listening and wondering about that, we do have, now that Ken's working at a screen print shop, we'll have some screen printed stuff for folks to get.
Awesome. Where can people find your store, online and locally?
Well, the store we just couldn't survive at this moment, so we're just doing online. And when we reopen at the store, it'll probably be when I can, if anything, this COVID year has taught me, it's like I need to buy a place to reopen. So that'll be in the future. So what's the good news about it is that I think the online customers are now getting everything. Before, they kind of got, like, we didn't have time to list everything. We'd get a bunch of used stuff in, and
Right.
it was like, so they might look at like an Instagram post, like, what, where do I get that? Well, come into the store. So
Right.
I just try to be positive about situations, if possible, to be positive. So the positive thing is that, in the past, I think the online customers were a little bit left out. It's kind of almost a little bit of a secondary. We had shows at the store. We had just a lot to do. And so I think the positive thing is they get at everything now. So they can find everything on the Green Noise website, and they can order from there. And then, yeah, the dream is to have, people are always asking, like, because for the people who came into the store, it's like, I just tell them, like, it's, support your, wherever you are, support your stores. And if that means not buying from Green Noise, then more power to you. It's tough, right? Might not want to go out right now, but try to support these businesses that have been around for a long time. And Green Noise has been around since '89, and we wouldn't just survive this year without, I could plug the post office. They have, without their service and their media mail rates, literally, nothing could kill Green Noise. But this year might have, without them, getting stuff from us to the people. So I just have to do a big plug. I just remember at some point, like last year, president was talking about, like, oh, we need to shut down the post office. I was like, the
Yeah.
post office? It's like, are you kidding me? Like, sometimes I laugh and stuff's not funny. That's just my coping mechanism. But I thought, like, are you kidding me? Like, it's in the middle of a pandemic, and these people are coming and picking up and delivering our records. I'm just one person, but just as a case study or whatever, delivering, keeping us in business, really.
Right.
I could have some, sometimes I'll deliver if it's local, or have pickup, but they're doing all the work getting our records to the people, and keeping those people safe. And so I was just like, I got to plug that. So yeah, that's, I dream about having the store and having shows every Saturday night is my dream. In the back room, we always had it in the store. I don't want to do that again. That's a little stressful. So I'll have a back room, and I'll own that building. So because we had to move like 5 times,
Oh wow.
because rent keeps going up, and
Yeah.
and so uh, the dream is to own, and maybe have a little, we're renting out some spaces, affordable rent to some other cool little shops. And that's the dream. But right now, we're having fun, getting records out to the people.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you so much, Martin, and
Yeah.
I enjoyed listening to the things you're passionate about, the reasons you do things, and just your general interest in indie music and punk rock, and I think we share a lot of the same ideals, and that's why it was great for me to listen to what you had to say today.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Thanks. Thank you for listening. You're a great listener. Great interview. I teach a journalism class and the high school students. So I'm always telling them, like,
Awesome.
gotta let that people talk. But now I feel like a big blabbermouth, but that's all right. You did a good job.
Thanks, man. All right,
All right. Thanks, man.
I'll catch up with you soon.
All right. Look forward to getting your record and getting it out to the people.
Awesome. That'd be awesome.